This is my answer in Einstein's logic puzzle. Well, we know from examining the clues and the question that the possible nationalities are Norwegian, Brit, Swedish, Dane, German. The possible colors are red, green, white, yellow, blue. The possible beverages are tea, coffee, milk, beer, water. The possible cigars are Pall Mall, Dunhill, Blends, Blue Master, Prince. The possible pets are dogs, birds, cats, horse, and fish. Well, we know there are 5 houses. We'll assume they're all in a row and are numbered from left to right. We know the Norwegian is in the first house. Since the Brit lives in the red house, the Norwegian can't. We also know the Norwegian lives next to the blue house, so his house isn't blue. We also know that the green house is to the left of the white house. The Norwegian can't live in the white house since there is no house to the left and can't live in the green house because his only neighbor, the one to the right, is known to live in the blue house. Therefore, the Norwegian lives in the yellow house. We also know the owner of yellow house smokes Dunhill and that the Norwegian has a neighbor with a blue house. The man who keeps horses lives next to the man who smokes Dunhill, so the horse owner lives in the blue house. The center house's owner drink milk and the greenhouse owner drink coffee, and the greenhouse is to the left of the white house. Since we know the left 2 houses are the yellow and blue houses. The only position for the green and white are green as the fourth and white is the fifth. Since the middle drinks milk and the owner of the greenhouse drinks coffee, the middle house has to be red and therefore is the bridge. So now this is what we know. The owner who smokes Blue Master drinks beer, since we know what houses number 3 and number 4 drink, and we know what house number 1 smokes. The only possibilities are houses number 2 and number 5. Keep this information in mind, since it is evident house number 1 cannot drink beer. The only possible beverages for house number 1 are water and tea, but since the Dane drinks tea, house number 1 drinks water, the man who smokes blends lives next to someone who drinks water. The only house next to number 1 is number 2. The man who smokes blends lives next to the one who has cat, so the cat house is number 1 or number 3. Since the Dane drinks tea, he must live in either house number 2 or number 5. The Swede and German could live in house number 2, number 4, or number 5. We know the beer drinker smokes Blue Master. The only house that could drink beer are number 2 and number 5. But since we know that number 2 smokes blends, number 5 must be the house which drinks beer and smoke Blue Master. And number 2 has to be the house that drinks tea and the house of the Dane. We can eliminate the possibility of the Dane's residence being house. We know that German smokes Prince, therefore he could not live at house number 5 and therefore has to live at house number 4. The Swede must live at house number 5. We also know house number 5 raises dogs since we know the Swede raises dogs, and that house number 4 smokes prince since the German smokes prince. The only possibility for house number 3 smokes is Pall Mall. All of the others are taken. We know that whoever smokes Pall Mall raises birds. So house number 3 raises birds, and house number 1 therefore has cats, since the only houses which could have had cats were number 1 and number 3, and number 3 has been eliminated. The only remaining pet is the fish, which must by which must be owned by German. We now know who owns the fish and have solved the puzzle. The owner of the fish is the German.